Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Today I'm going to show an overview of all the creatures you can tame in Smalland Survive the Wilds. I've got individual guides to give you more in-depth details, but this is just like a preview to get you in the mood. So go and check out the individual ones, they'll be released in the coming days. As of early access launch, there are 5 creatures that you can tame. The ladybug, the grasshopper, then you've got the gecko, the wolf spider, and finally the damselfly. I'm going to give fair warning, if you really don't want spoilers about bosses, you probably don't want to watch the rest of this video, as only the ladybug and the grasshopper can be tamed without killing some of the bosses. You effectively have to get recipes to craft the treats that you tame them with. You'll pretty much get the recipe for the ladybug and the grasshopper fairly early in the game, picking up resources and find it either in the crafting station for the saddlebags for the ladybug or the grasshopper treat in the cauldron. All the creatures require you to pretty much bash them over the head until their health goes below half, and then you'll be able to feed them it. You don't need the treat in your actual hand, as long as it's in your inventory, that should be good enough, and then you just feed it. It's exactly that same method for all 5 of the creatures. So, quick dive into the creatures, their uses, and anything else you need to know. Pretty much they'll all fight for you, but only one of them you can actually use to attack other creatures while riding. Currently at the moment that is the wolf spider. The grasshopper, the gecko and the damselfly will attack other creatures, but you cannot be riding them. The grasshopper is meant to be skittish, it's meant to run away a little bit, and it can sometimes do that against bigger creatures, so I do think it only really attacks small ones. That's something I've got to test a bit more. And in the long term, the devs want you to form more relationships with the creatures, that they'll get stronger and less likely to run away and stuff as you become more friendly with them and you utilise them more. You can only have one tame at a time, and I'm guessing that's what the stables is going to be for in one of the early updates they're promising in their roadmap. Hopefully a way that we can park some of our creatures rather than having to let them go. At the moment you can tell a creature to wait, you can release the creature so that it goes back to being wild, and that's pretty much it. There's no breeding, and like I said, you can only have one at a time. If you try taming another creature while you've already got one tamed, it just simply won't give you the option to tame it. So make sure you've released your previous creature if you want a new one. The grasshopper obviously is good for getting around by jumping. None of the creatures take full damage so far, so you can pretty much jump from any height and you should be safe as long as none of them touch any water. If they get anything above the knee, they literally will start to die and you can't really rescue them. It's very difficult to get out of water once you're in it. Also, a little FYI, some of the treats might not unlock until you've got the ingredients to do so and craft them. So for the ladybug here, you do need nectar and a few other items to go ahead and get it. So this will probably be the first tame that you might come across, and you can pretty much turn them into a mobile backpack. They added this just only a couple days before the early access launch. You can see it gives you an extra 20 slots of inventory space. At the moment, these tames don't have much of a life. They're meant to be fairly easy to get, not spending days trying to get like you do in Art Survival Evolved. But in the early stages, you're not going to be taming much more than a ladybug and the grasshopper until you get well established and unlock more of the crafting stations. So as I said, creatures will fight for you, except maybe this guy. I didn't notice it actually doing any damage against some of these creatures. But the grasshopper, as I mentioned, might only attack smaller creatures like ants. But the rest of them seem like they would pretty much go for anything, and I'm hoping this is going to get fleshed out in the future to improve them. The grasshopper treat will automatically unlock in the cauldron. They all pretty much rely on getting seed oil, which you're going to need the stone grinder to go ahead and make out of wood and seeds. The stamina drain on grasshoppers is pretty brutal. You don't really get to do much more than jump at least once, and then you've got to wait a couple seconds for the cooldown to go back up. But they can go a little bit quicker if you're just holding it to run. I've got a much better dedicated guide taking a look at all of them and how to kill all the bosses and where to find the NPCs to get the recipes, which I've put on my JPG 100 Days channel just to hopefully get some interest in the live streams that I'm doing on there. So go and check it out if you want to see me play Smallands every day, and then finally that 100 days video. The geckos, I would say, is probably the second creature that you might end up going to try and tame, and you can find them along the coast. And you'll find the boss that you need to kill here as well, the rhino beetle. He'll drop a special horn, you give this back to the NPC pretty nearby, and then that's how you get the recipe for the gecko. A lot of these creatures will be roaming around together, so thin them out a little bit, kill 1 or 2 of them and leave just 1 standing for your tame. Otherwise, once you've tamed one, they will become instantly aggressive and take on some other creatures. And given you've just taken half their health, that's not a very good idea. You'll probably lose a tame as soon as you go ahead and tame it. So these guys will move pretty quickly and they can go up a lot of vertical walls. As long as the wall isn't actually jutting out at an angle that's overhead. It's a bit better than the spider in terms of being able to climb rocks, but it would be nice if they could actually go up more of the vertical walls. There does seem to be a problem with anything that's just a little bit above you, like a little cliff. I actually think these would be good if they could go in water as well. Apparently geckos are big fans of the desert though and arid conditions. I'm not a zoologist, what do I know? But it seems like this would be the one that you could maybe take into the water. But no, do not do that. They'll use their big massive tongue to attack creatures and maybe pull them in a little bit, and they do a fair amount of damage and can hold their own against at least 1 or 2 creatures normally if you've managed to heal them up. To heal all the creatures you need to just drop any food that says you can feed your creature with it on the floor and they'll slowly eat it. But yep, my big complaint is that these guys just don't have enough health in general. They're very easy to get killed. Wolf spider next, and these are pretty tough to get. The swamp is filled with other dangerous creatures that all do a lot of poison damage, and you have to fight a pretty horrific spider boss. You'd have to find the NPC first. They'll give you the location of the boss and then you go ahead and take it on. You can find Lysandra just here in the swamp, and then obviously you can see just to the southwest is the albino boss fight. I can't overstate how difficult this is going to be without a wing set to get you over here, taking on all the different creatures like the multiple spiders in the biome. It is a tough challenge, but eventually you'll come to an entrance to a cave, and this is where you'll take on the creature. And again, head back to Lysandra afterwards, give her the item that drops, and she'll give you the recipe for the wolf spider. Same thing again, you need to craft this at a cauldron. And the recipe for it is a bit more complicated than some of the others. So yeah, you're going to have to get all them resources. So these are more difficult. Obviously they will start to poison you. Wolf spiders do have quite low level poison though compared to some of the others like the Black Widow and more. And don't try doing this at night time. You may find too many other creatures that will be too dangerous to take on. The wolf spiders are good. They do attack other creatures while you're riding them, but against other poison creatures they're pretty much useless, so you definitely don't want to get into a fight. Even with another wolf spider, I actually lost 2 of them even though they had full health and I was attacking more. They didn't seem to be doing as much damage as the wolf spider was doing to mine. They're definitely better against non-poisonous creatures. They can't climb as many vertical places as the gecko, although they can go up certain inclines a bit sharper than you might imagine. But yeah, there's no jump ability on any of these creatures other than the grasshopper. So it can be a bit finicky getting around certain logs and places. And if you don't like spiders but you want the ability to have this guy, well, obviously make sure you turn off the arachnophobia mode, which is there. You can make the legs really short or have no legs at all. So have fun with this guy. Once you get him, yeah, get him back home and then try not to use him against other poisonous creatures. I'm going to do more testing with them all and see if any of them have actually got more piercing damage and blunt damage. I'm guessing though, as most of them have got pincers and stuff in their mouths, they all pretty much do piercing, but that's something I've got to test. And last and absolutely the best, it is the dragonfly. No, it's not a dragonfly, it's a damselfly. These guys you're going to find in the southeast of the map. So quite a dangerous area. It really is the late game stages. And you are going to have to take on pretty much one of the final bosses. You have to talk to Tahula, the NPC. And then, yes, you'll go and deliver the item that you get from this boss. And you actually take it back to the Elder back at home. Tahula pretty much just reveals the location, I do believe, of it. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending too much. But just take it back to the Elder. And you'll get the recipe eventually for the damselfly. And again, this one unlocks only though by crafting it in the stone oven rather than the cauldron, so that's pretty late game item. Super easy to craft though, you only need to get bug juice from the fireflies pretty much, and petals and seed oil. Whereas the stone oven is going to require quite a lot of the clay mortar, and that is definitely a late game item that you can only get clay in that southeast area as well. Again, I've got individual videos coming out on this channel, and if you really can't wait, go and watch the much longer format video of this where I do go through the boss fights and explain in more detail about where to get some of these resources. Link will be in the comment section down below. So these guys do attack, and you've got to be more careful because of the water nearby where they usually roam, but the lily pads is probably going to be your best bet. Once you got it, you press the jump button and hold it and it will go quite high, but obviously once that stamina runs out, it will drop slowly to the floor. You can't go over water directly either. You can't just glide like this, you will drown in the water as soon as you go near it. You have to be holding the jump button to get across water areas. Seems pretty obvious, but I lost 2 of these guys before I realised I actually have to hold the jump button if I want to get across certain places. And it is simply the best because from really up high, if you teleport back to your tree base, you can pretty much get across the whole map if you really wanted to. By conserving your stamina, letting it fill up as you drop a little bit, you can reach so many further places rather than using your wingsuit. They're not bad at combat as well. They will swoop in and attack creatures too, but you can't attack while riding them as of yet. So there we go, that is everything you need to know about TAMEs at the moment, a quick overview. Like I said, look out for the individual guides with more details, and I'll see you rat bags for more Smalland videos very, very soon. Until next time, bye bye.